This Avalanche Safety Report is brought to you by Mountain TV. Learn more at mtn-tv.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Shannon Lukens with Mountain TV, and it's our last big Avalanche broadcast with Brian Lazars from Colorado Avalanche Information Center. Brian, think it's been a good winter? I know you got a good report for us, but how's it been going for you? Good?
Oh, it's been a hit or miss winter. Every season has a slightly different flavor to it. And this one was, kind of pretty long dry periods punctuated by some pretty potent storms. But we did get some good riding conditions throughout the season. The recent heat has really taken a toll on our snowpack. So here's our last snapshot of the season here. And as we head towards the end of April and into May, we are sitting at 70% of long-term median, which is not great news for our water supply here. We do have some stormier and more unsettled weather on the horizon over the next week or two. So hopefully that slows down that melt curve. But right now we're not looking in great shape as we head towards May in terms of our long-term median snowpack. The good news is that we've been getting, really nice, good freezes at night. And this has allowed us to essentially move to low danger, which means generally safe avalanche conditions across all mountain areas of Colorado, which means this is great. It's springtime. This is when people start pushing into, bigger objectives, steeper terrain. And right now, Mother Nature is cooperating with generally safe avalanche conditions. There are a couple caveats that I will mention here in just a second. And here's the reason that we've been able to go to low danger. This top red line here is temperature. And I just picked a point location in the Elk Mountains, kind of central part of Colorado, but it's really a good example of what's going on everywhere. You can see our daytime highs are still poking up into the low to mid 40s in some locations. But if you look at those low temperatures overnight, we're still dropping down into the low 20s, low to mid 20s. And you can see in this bottom panel the amount of cloud cover. And you can see that overnight we're getting a lot of clear skies with not a lot of cloud cover. This is allowing for really good freezes, which has eliminated most of the threat from larger loose wet avalanches. Doesn't mean you can't get small loose wet avalanches in the afternoon, but right now most of those are nuisance slides unless you're in very steep consequential terrain. And that's what has allowed these generally safe avalanche conditions. Great time to get out there and explore. However, we do want to point out, you can't just turn your brain off because we're in a good melt freeze cycle. This is an example from Buffalo Mountain, just outside of Silverthorne, and it does show that even a small avalanche can be quite dangerous if you are in continually steep plunging terrain. This skier triggers a pretty small wet loose avalanche in a steep couloir, and you can see once he gets caught up in the moving debris, how hard it is for him to extricate himself from that. You can look down the slope here, and if this was a little bit steeper and he wasn't able to dig himself into the bed surface, how easy it could be to get washed into rocks or hit other obstacles. These are the kinds of small slides which can lead to traumatic injury or worse. Here's another example of a small avalanche on Grizzly Peak near Loveland Pass, which caught a skier, washed him down this very steep terrain into those rocky cliffs. They sustained a lower leg injury, which did require a fight for life evacuation. And lastly, another small windstorm avalanche that was triggered near Berthoud Pass. And you can see here the person was able to kind of stop themselves from taking the full ride. But again, as we push into this very steep consequential terrain, which a lot of people do at this time of the year to get those spring objectives, which aren't often safe during the midwinter, we need to remember the consequences of even being swept off your feet. You can see here we're in a pretty dry period until we get towards the weekend. You'll see these blue colors starting on Monday through Wednesday kind of zip through Colorado. We could see 5 to maybe 10 inches favoring the northern mountains, with a return to maybe some wind slab problems as we get into the earlier part of next week. And lastly, I just wanted to point out this example to hit the point home. This is from 5 years ago, but it was at the exact same time as this year. This was in the Gore Range, where a skier was caught in a very small wind slab avalanche right up near the ridgeline. Not nearly enough to bury him, but it did sweep him off his feet and washed him down this very rocky couloir. And unfortunately, this person did not survive their injuries. So this is the message. The main headline is most slopes are safe for recreating. It's a great time to go out there and have fun. Mother Nature is cooperating with generally safe avalanche conditions as people want to test out those bigger objectives. The very important caveat is you need to consider the consequences of being swept off your feet in very steep consequential terrain like what we're showing in this last photo.
Well, Brian, there was another advice that you gave. You can't just turn your brain off. That is a good one.
Yeah, that probably applies to more than just backcountry travel. I think that's a life lesson in general. And I do want
Every
to remind
teenager.
people, this is our last Mountain TV, episode of the season, but we are not done forecasting. So we will continue to issue daily avalanche forecasts every day for all mountain areas of Colorado through the end of May. So please check your forecast before you go out there. And remember, as we move into those warmer springtime temperatures, a good mantra for spring is to start and end your day early to avoid getting caught up in wet avalanche activity in the afternoon.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, for all your reports all year from Colorado Avalanche Information Center. And you want to tell us the website again?
Colorado.gov/avalanche.
Thank you.
Thanks. We'll see you next season.